Good evening. We're live. We're a minute earlier, but that's all right. It gives us more time to get through lots of things because we've got so much to talk about. Joining you today is Arunima with my very dear friend, colleague, someone I've known for a few years from University of Canterbury, Sandeep. Sandeep, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Arunima.
Sandeep, we're gonna talk lots about University of Canterbury today because I'm super excited about this new scheme of things that you're offering, which is quite unique. And I know there's a lot of people around the world that are going to be very interested about this. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about it. But before I do that, I just thought I'll set the scene by telling everybody that's joining us today that this is our 8th session of this series with education providers. So guys, that those of you that are joining us now, this is our 8th session. We bring different education providers. We talk about courses. We talk about the career outcomes of those courses. We talk about how those line up with the skill shortages in New Zealand. And I've been told that 8 is the luckiest number in Chinese culture. So hopefully this session can bring prosperity and luck to a lot of people listening. So, that's setting the scene. We are immigration and education partners with University of Canterbury, and they've got some fantastic offerings. But before we get into the offerings, I need to talk about Sandeep, and I need to introduce you, Sandeep. Sandeep, can you please tell us and the people that are joining us today about yourself, why you do what you do so amazingly, please, and just about University of Canterbury and how long you've been there, please.
Right. Well, first of all, lucky me. It's the eighth number, which I am part of the Facebook Live that you guys are doing. And you guys are doing a fantastic job because I've seen your previous Facebook Lives. So kudos. Now, a bit about me. So, see, I've been through the journey of an international student myself. So, kind of becomes easier for me to relate to the session that we are going to do today. But in terms of where I come from, I was born and brought up in Bombay, in India, and I moved to New Zealand almost 5.5 years ago to study business. So I studied at University of Canterbury, so I'm an alumni of UC. Um, the, the course that I was studying gave me an opportunity to do some project work and internship, and that's how I started to work with the International Relationship Office. One thing led to another, and I started to help our university in building strategies and with helping them with marketing, and got involved with the international office. And um, 5 years down the track, here I am managing South Asia and Middle East as a market. So I'm responsible for the recruitment and marketing activities of that region, and of course
Brilliant.
supporting people like you who are helping us spread the word.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sandeep. No, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you, and we're only just starting. So I'm really excited about where this is going to take us. So we've got a lot to get through, and I know that we only have 40 minutes or so to get through all of that. I will take the live questions, and they will start building up slowly, but I'm just going to jump into what excites me about the session. So, the borders are closed. People are sitting overseas in, Southeast Asia, like you said, or in different markets and wanting to come into New Zealand to study. They can't study. They may have been ready to join in the July intake. They've got all that precious time that's waiting. Some people may have even resigned from their jobs. And because of the border closure, lives are in limbo. People can't really progress their careers. And I think that's where University of Canterbury offers this amazing solution for these people, which is to begin their studies online. Cindy, please do the honors and tell us what this means. And then I'm going to start ripping it apart and start asking lots of questions.
Right, Arunima. So very rightly put. See, we are one of the early movers in this space, and the reason why we could do it is because we transformed from in classroom to digital delivery of our programs in COVID times when we were in lockdown level 4, where our current students needed to complete their course, and we were eager to provide them with the knowledge and the commitment that we had started the year with. Now, at that point, we realized that we have the platform ready where we can extend it when the time comes to people who are not onshore. So New Zealanders who are non-New Zealanders who are overseas or non-residents who were looking at coming to University of Canterbury in the July intake. And in this process, what we came up with is the online to campus pathway. Now, online to campus pathway is a very simple process of allowing the students to engage with University of Canterbury and experience the programs and the teaching that we offer to the students, especially to the ones who are already in the process of selecting the university and have been in touch with us for a long time. And the way we want to do it is we are extending this opportunity in selected programs only. So we are offering 7 programs in total in which the online to campus pathway will be applicable. What that means is that, sorry, you had a question.
So no, so I'm just trying to put this because I'm going to try and break it into chunks for people
Yep.
to get to understand because it's all quite
Yep.
complex. So these people are sitting in their home, whether that's in India or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or wherever they are in Philippines, they want to get onto education. They can actually sit from their home, enroll through us as the advisor, enroll the agent, enroll the application, get admitted into the course, and then start the course from their home. Is that how it works?
You're absolutely right. I think
Okay.
you put it much better than I did.
No,
So
no, no. I'm
that's
just trying to break it
exactly,
down.
no,
Yeah.
that's perfect. So that's what it means. And those are exactly the students that we are trying to reach out to. So the students who are, for the reasons known to us, obvious reasons, who cannot come on campus, will have the opportunity to attend the classes sitting in their home and do the online studies. And the way we are trying to do it is for programs that are going to start in July. There are 3 programs that we will start in July: Bachelor of Commerce, Masters of Applied Data Science, and Masters of Strategic Communication. These programs, the first semester, will be done through online mode. And in August, the month after that, we will offer 4 more programs, which are Masters of Business Information System, Masters of Business Management, Masters of Financial Management, and Masters of Professional Accounting. They will start in August, and the students will get an opportunity to do one trimester because these programs are offered in trimester format, and the programs that I mentioned, which are being offered in July, are run through semester format.
Okay. So you've got, so for people that are listening, all of these masters that Sandeep has just listed are all 1 year masters. So that's the first thing. All of these masters will give you bonus points towards residence once you're here. All of these masters will give you 3 years open work visa. So that's the first thing that you need to understand. The second thing is they from your home, rather than wait for the Feb intake, which will then cause like a 7 or 8 month gap in your academic background, you can actually start the program from your home, sitting at home in July and August intakes. But now comes the real interesting part, which is what I was blown away by. So Sandeep, tell us about the fees. That's the big kicker here.
Okay, so we understand that students may be concerned about the online delivery of the program and the experience that they might have. So University of Canterbury has come up with a plan where every student who enrolls in these programs gets to study this program for the first 7 weeks for free. They do not have to pay any tuition fee for the first 7 weeks that they are enrolled into these programs. If they do choose to continue after 7 weeks and they decide that this format is for them and the program that they are enrolled in and the teaching experience, the learning experience rather, that they are having is something that matches up to the expectation, then we would request the students to pay the fee after the 7th week and continue with the remaining of the program.
So I have to be the devil's advocate here, Sandeep,
Yep.
as I always am. So obviously, University of Canterbury is one of the biggest brands in tertiary education in New Zealand. It's very sought after. Why make the first 7 weeks free? Because that would be a big, bold step to take. You would be really confident of your product to make that step. So just tell me, just rewind a little bit and tell us why those 7 weeks are free. Because we are going to
Well,
get that question. I know that.
I think you answered, Mike, the question that you asked about the bold move comes from having confidence in your product. See, we've been in the international market for quite some time, and specifically, if I was to talk about the regions that I handle, that's South Asia and Middle East, we've been going there on regular basis for the 5 years that I've been in this field, and we have immense confidence in the programs that we offer, and we know that we have the capability to offer that experience that students are looking for. We have the platform. I must mention here, I am also a student myself at this point of time, where I am pursuing part time studies for Masters of International Relations and Diplomacy, which means that apart from my work, I do have to study and attend classes online. While I was in lockdown 4, I was part of my lectures, and I think that went really well, where we had the opportunity to interact with the professors. All those initial apprehensions that were there in my mind were completely answered. I was convinced that this product is working and the experience will be delivered to students who are interested and who are overseas. So I actually speak with that sort of confidence, and that is the main reason why we offer it 7 weeks for free, because we believe in a product, and we actually don't want students to enroll in something where and pay for something at such times where people are struggling as far as financials are concerned. Banks are closed, they can't make the transaction. We wanted to give that opportunity to the students to first avail the knowledge and the skill sets and the education. So we are coming from a higher purpose over here, rather
Yep.
than just offering a course and asking for fees.
So those of them, that, and I know that we've got some clients joining us today that are absolutely very seriously thinking about studying in New Zealand, and we were having those conversations. And I think for them, rather than wait for a Feb intake, just to jump in, join the July intake. And I know that those courses that they're seeking are the ones that are starting in July and August. Start the course in July intake, see how you feel. Like that's what, that's where the confidence in the product is and the delivery is. See how you feel, see if you like it. Once you like it, you then move on to the 7 weeks and you pay the fees provided. So Sandeep, just another question in there. So with India being complete lockdown at this stage, and we don't know when that lockdown would open, we're hoping in the next 4 or 5 weeks things will start moving. But say things don't move in those 7 weeks, and like I said, the banks transfer and all of that doesn't happen. What happens to those students then? Do they just wait where they are and then let things resume before they pay the fees? So how does that? Is there a provision to adjust them?
So
What happens
listen,
there?
we obviously gonna take a view of that situation in terms of that students don't have much that they can do by themselves in such situations, and when the time comes where we are presented with these kind of situations, I'm sure that the university and the departments will take a holistic view of the situation rather than disallowing students to continue further, because if they can't really pay, as simple as they can't travel because the borders are not open, and if the
Yeah.
banks are not open, they can't make transactions. So if it comes to that stage where things are really bad in their home country and things are still in a lockdown, we definitely will take a positive view on that, and will come up with some sort of a way out rather than just shutting the conversation over there.
Okay. Now, let's just bring immigration into the picture and all of this, because obviously, you can see from the questions building up, there's a lot of immigration questions. People come in to study into New Zealand, and the sort of that part-time work rights, then the post-study work rights, plus the bonus points. It's all part of the package. It just doesn't, you cannot separate that out. It's just how New Zealand immigration and education has always worked. And I understand the universities kind of, and a lot of the tertiary educations will take a step back, but we obviously are mainstream immigration advisors. We do education and immigration, and we kind of find the best in both. So when a student has started the online course, started the trimester or the semester, paid the fees, and now is a time to apply for a student visa to be able to travel to New Zealand, whether that's later this year, February, for the Feb 2021 intake. God forbid if immigration doesn't grant the visa for whatever reason, what happens to the fees? What are the refund criteria around those fees? Because that's one question that we were asked as number one. We're going to pay the fees. We're sitting in India. We don't know what's going to happen. What happens to a fees if we're not able to travel?
Right, that's a brilliant question, and I think in these sort of situations, students who are uh, applying through aims, I feel are in the safest hands when it comes to immigration. What we try to tell our students is we encourage them, especially if the agents are applying for their visas on their behalf, is to please go in and apply as early as possible, so that you might have a clear outcome before the semester is over. For whatever reasons, if the outcome is not as per your desire, which means that you get a rejection, all you have to do is provide us with a proof that your visa has been denied, and because of that reason you can't travel. um, we will refund your fees
Yeah.
based on that proof
And I
that has
think
been
that's something
provided.
like, that's something that we say very confidently. You've got confidence in your product. If we are going to allow one of our students or our clients to get onto the online course, unless between now until the end of December they do something to really goof up their history, or their record, we won't really, encourage a student that doesn't have a profile where we think we can pull the visa to get into this. So there's a lot of vetting, and those of you that are our clients here listening, those of you that work with us, you know that from the very word get go, we'll only engage with you if we know that there's prospects in your case. And if it's not, we'll be the first one to say no to you. So no, that's really good to know. The other question, Sandeep, and I can see there's a whole lot of questions building up. We will get to those questions. Um, for students, so say for example, if someone does decide to, now that's another refund scenario, but someone pays for the fees, does everything, but between July and February they're still in their home country and circumstances change, so they haven't had a decline, but they have had other circumstances, personal circumstances, they can't travel, pregnant, can't travel, will have the baby and then come in, or whatever the story is. Are there any terms and conditions? So once they do enroll with you, they will be getting a terms and conditions that outline all of the refund policies, I assume?
Well, see, at this stage, the outline that I have takes into consideration that students are who are planning to come to UC are serious students and they are willing. The only thing that would stop them from coming to UC at this stage is what we feel would be an immigration outcome, which is not in their favor. But given other circumstances, and based on that, we say that we will refund the student.
Okay.
But for reasons, for personal reasons apart from immigration, if the student has successfully completed that semester, and
Yep.
after that decided not to, then in return the student is getting the credits and the
I agree.
transcript for the program that they have completed, or the
Which is
credits
quite a
that they
standard.
have.
Yeah. So, yep, you've
Yeah.
eaten at the restaurant, you've done the work, you're not gonna, that's just how it works. But that's really good. That's a really strong message to get out there, because those people that are sitting there thinking, oh, I'll get a refund even if I change my mind, it doesn't work like that. We're only looking for really serious students that are genuinely looking at using these 6 months sensibly in their course. Sandeep, I also now want, so there's a lot of online questions. I do want to now get on to scholarships and bursaries,
Hmm.
and that's quite an important thing. Now obviously, with COVID-19, every penny counts. There's some really serious students, good students out there that are considering coming here, and I know that there's a few other tertiary providers offering different sorts of financial aid, whether that's merit based or however it is. Can you just tell us please whether there's any scholarships that University of Canterbury offers at all for students wanting to come and study?
So, see, we've got quite a few scholarships for international students. The ones that we always offered are still on our website, which is international scholarship issued to the students for their first year of studies. But apart from that, we also have special scholarship called as the Dean's Award. The Dean's Award is offered by the International Relationship Office, where I am based, to deserving students, which either apply directly or through agents or recommended by them. Um, uh, and the selection process is basically done by the dean. So any student who is wanting or who's going through some certain hardships at this point of time and wants to apply for scholarship will first have to have a full offer in hand. And once the student has the full offer, then they can request us to be considered for that scholarship. The amount of scholarship, of course, varies, depends upon the program that they're doing, depends upon the previous academic scores. But yes, we do have the scholarship in place for students who are looking for one.
Okay. And is there more information available on this that we can pass on to people? So is there a certain percentage or any qualification gained within so many years and preceding the actual application process that you can quickly talk to us about?
Well, I would say that minimum expectations of the deans is that a student has an equivalent of a B average of what we say here in New Zealand, back in their home country. So if I was to break it down in terms of percentage, we'd be happy to consider someone who's having an aggregate of 70%. And as far as IELTS is concerned, an overall of 7. This sort of combination gives the student a very good chance to qualify for scholarship.
Brilliant. And those of you that are wanting to know, one of our fantastic team members has just posted the link to the scholarships in the comment section, so you can actually have a read of that. So Sandeep, we've got a lot of questions building up. Some we've covered already, but I think we'll just run through these. I want to pick up this question. Sorry, just this one question by Seni. So he's asking about the online studies while we're at that topic. So he says, if we start online, how does that work out for post-study 3 years work visa? What effect will it make for when we apply for residence, and whether it comes to collect I think what he's saying is whether you get the post-study work visa or whether you get the bonus points or not. So Sandeep, do you want to talk to it and I can talk to the immigration point side of it?
Yeah, so maybe you better place to answer the latter one. But I'm
Yeah.
just quickly going to touch the way we've designed the online to campus pathway is such that a student, after doing a certain amount of credit online, still is able to do the 30-week or more, or approximately 120 credit points on campus in New Zealand onshore, which is the requirement as per our understanding for a student to be eligible for a post-study work visa. So what we have taken into consideration from our end while we are trying to break this program into online versus onshore and on campus is that you will still be able to do enough credit points and spend enough time, which as per the immigration rules is required for a student to be eligible to apply for a post-study work visa.
Yeah. And if you meet that requirement, then you will be able to take those bonus points and get the open work visa and take all of those benefits that a master's gives you. So it's pretty much how you would do it, because immigration instructions require a minimum amount of education done sort of full time in the provider, which is what Sandeep's touched on. And if you meet that, you would meet everything else. So obviously I'll move along on the question, and there's a lot of them building up. I do want to touch on something that we were talking about. We were talking about this offline, and I think that would be of interest to a lot of people. So, as we know, there's a lot of people in India where the schools were closed, the colleges are closed, and they may be doing the Bachelor's of Commerce, BCom in India. Now, the Bachelor's of Commerce at University of Canterbury starts online, if I understand, on the 13th of July is the next session.
Yep.
So, and I'm going to get on to the cross credit. So if you have someone who was doing a Bachelor's of Commerce in India and wants to now was, eagerly looking at starting, so say they were looking at coming to New Zealand in July or February intake, they couldn't, so they had to start a bachelor's degree in India. They've done maybe a year there or half a year, and they're looking at transferring on to University of Canterbury. Is there an opportunity for cross credits or RPL, recognized prior learning, which are called, so that they can get cross credited for what they've already done in that degree and then carry on with the rest of the program in Canterbury?
Well, certainly we do offer cross credit for students who want to discontinue their program in their own home countries and come and join University of Canterbury. But applying for admissions and applying for cross credits are two separate process. The admissions process will remain more or less the same, where the student puts in the earlier documents that they have studied, and we try to compare it with our entry criterias. Uh, but the amount of credit that the student is eligible for is something that goes to the department, and the academic actually decides that. Now, the basis on which they decide how much credit is to be given to a student is done on the curriculum of the subjects and the topics that they may have taken back in their home country. So, what I would like to point out over here is that anyone who is interested in applying for cross credits, we welcome that, but they have to provide the minutest details of the program that they have studied, their curriculum, and the topics that they've covered back home for our department to be able to assess it fairly and give them the credits that they deserve. So that those papers or those amount of credit will be definitely reduced from their study burden at UC. That's the process, but admission offer comes fairly faster than the results of the cross credit is, I should mention.
What's the duration approximately of the RPL process?
Well, it totally depends from department to department. But what we try to tell to the students is an average of 6 to 8 weeks is what they should expect in order to get back the results of how much credit are they getting. It could be early as well. Totally depends upon how busy the academics are.
Okay, good. That's really good to know, so they can work backwards for those of them that are thinking about the 13th of July intake, because that's literally about 4 weeks and a bit from now. There's quite a lot of questions coming around different courses. In particular, there's questions coming around the data sciences courses and around the Masters in Strategic Communication. I'm not going to get too much into individual courses because that's quite a lot, but if you just want to quickly touch on these, please, and we'll move along.
Well, so data science and masters of strategic communication, both of these are taught masters. So there's no research component in it. Let's start by Masters of Applied Data Science. Now, this is a 1 year program. It's 180 credit points. It's a conversion masters, which means that a person or a student who is interested in building their knowledge in big data, we don't expect them to have a prior knowledge of that subject. All we would like them to have is some basic level understanding of mathematics and statistics, because that program involves a lot of math and stats. And students from various backgrounds are welcome to that program. It does have a project and internship piece in it as well. So it's a combination of theory subjects and some project and internship part in that. The way it's being offered in the online model right now is that people get to do some of the theory papers from July to November, and then they come on onshore. They would still spend 8 to 9 months where they get to complete their project and internship.
Okay.
Same for Masters of Strategic Communication. It's the same format that we have.
Okay, so guys, I mean, because we've got so many questions, I could literally have Sandeep here for the next 2 hours and not be able to get through all the questions. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the pace here. I really, really want to focus on the online courses that the university is offering, which I think is really unique. So I'm going to spend quite a bit of time answering those questions. Any questions that are not answered through the session, we will individually come back. So I will individually go back to you and answer your questions. So don't worry about your questions not being answered. I've got a question here from Mohammed. It's a really interesting question. It says, is there any amount to deposit with a New Zealand bank for sustainability as we are doing an online course? I think he's probably thinking about the FTS, offshore kind of model that works. So if someone's based overseas and they're looking at studying, is there any money that they have to deposit here?
Well, see, I wouldn't be aware if that's from
No.
the perspective of INZ or the living cost. I don't know. But as far as our university is concerned, we did start to take deposits from students, $1,500 deposit, which is a confirmation of their commitment to UC. But because of what's going on in the world right now, we are quite happy to waive that off for students who are looking to start the online program in July and in August.
Yeah. And I think, Mohammed, I can answer from an immigration perspective. You kind of need to understand that this is something that the university is offering. Come do this course. You like the Masters of Business Management 1 year course, start the course with us, do it for 7 weeks. At the end of 7 weeks, you would know where you stand. If you like the course, and which, we've got some guarantees here. We've got a live student here, alumni, vouching for the course. You can then continue on. So immigration doesn't come into the picture till a bit later. And I can connect with you later and explain this if you like. I'm going to keep moving on. There's another really, really good question here, which talks about the class timing. So if you've got people from different parts of the world joining for this online course, Sandeep, How does this work? So is it pre-recorded session delivered in their time zone? How does it work? I just want to get my head around this.
That is a brilliant question. Probably I should try and ask this question to the department. But my best guess is what we're trying to do, say right now, when we're having a Facebook Live, we specifically picked up this time because this is a safe zone in terms of time, where we are not too late here in New Zealand, but we are not too early in some other parts of the world. What we've seen, what I know for some of the programs that we offer, for example, MBA, where students who are currently working and also studying, there are classes which run to late in the evening. So they start from 8 p.m. New Zealand time onwards, go to 10 p.m. So I think something of that sort of model would be adopted, where live interactions with the class, because most of these programs that we are talking about, Arunima, they are having a bit of in classroom exercise and group work sort of element, where professors would like to divide the class into smaller groups over a Zoom, where students are put into a smaller group to discuss on a particular program or a case study, and the professor keeps moving from one group to another virtually in the Zoom, and that's the kind of experience they would want to have. So this like live interaction, and I think that that would be the best effort. But in certain cases, if they feel that some students might miss out or they can't, then they will of course record these sessions and put it up.
Yeah. Okay. No, that sets the scene quite a bit. And obviously, because this model is so new, it's taking a while for all of us to get our head around it. Like just listening to you, I kind of got thinking, and I said, okay, well, if the student starts in July, assuming that the New Zealand borders open soon, but what if the borders in their home country don't open in time? And so they have this, they've finished, they've exhausted the first trimester or the semester, they can't get into the country, and there's a gap in the middle. How does that get, so they can just literally, when the borders in their country open up, they get the visa, can they just pick up from where they left? Does that how it work? Does it work like that? They just, so even if they've had a gap for a few weeks in the middle, Sandeep,
Hmm.
because their borders didn't open, when they've applied for the visa and say they got a visa after a few months and they've had a gap, do they just pick up from where they left the online course when they get into New Zealand?
All right. So, for whatever reasons, if they can't make it on time, is that what you're getting at because of the
Yeah, so
border
I mean, say, yeah,
situation?
exactly. Yeah, so say the borders
Yeah.
don't open and they're not able to
So,
be here in Feb. And so
so
they
what
come in.
happens is, yeah. So what happens is that in some programs, more than others, there is a very stringent timeline in terms of late students, or students that can actually join the program after its commencement, and some of them are flexible by offering 2 weeks kind of extension. But for practical reasons like these, because we've never come across these kind of situations before, and if the students is on the online pathway already, and for whatever reasons if they expect a delay of couple of weeks, then also so we would be happy for the student to start attending their classes online until they actually end up coming here, and as you said, pick it up from where they left. But they have to probably consult someone like you in terms of finding out the repercussions on the stay back and onshore 30-week
Yeah.
time spent and things like that.
Or they could
We would
or they
be
could look at the next intake, right? So they could literally,
totally. I
yeah,
mean, that's something that's always available. But as far as flexibility is concerned, we would be quite flexible in accepting the student, provided the student does their due diligence.
yeah, yeah. Which is where, the immigration part of it we understand because there's a minimum time frame that you must do in New Zealand. And if you can't make it for the Feb intake, worst case scenario, always got the next intake to sort of pick it up from where you left, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
to this, I've got this next comment, which really sets this whole scene. It says, so he's obviously talking about himself, and he says, if we do study online for 1 year, for the 1 year course, and let's say start in July and move to New Zealand in December, is that mean we only have 6 months to study and start work full time after 6 months and receive 3 year post study? Because that might help me in my favor by saving money for living costs and everything, which is exactly what it is. Because these people save half the year living cost. Rather than stay here, waste their time, they can actually start that in India. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah, but I would like to just caution the student because 6 months still would not be 30 weeks of study. It would still be somewhere 24, 25 weeks of study. And the way we have designed this, online to campus pathway is that the student does spend um, at least 8 months on campus doing that 120 credit points. So although they are doing those credit points online, it doesn't mean that when they come here, it's just going to be 6 months.
Yeah,
It will be more than 6 months.
yeah,
It'll be that amount of time that you need to get the credit points in the time frame that the immigration repercussions are not on you, and it's
yeah.
for their own benefit. So
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
So I think I'm sure nobody would have an issue. I mean, obviously, it's the minimum time that they must do to get that post-study work visa, and whether that's 8 months or 9 months or 8.5 months,
yeah.
whatever the time frame works out to be, I'm sure people would still end up saving cost and saving time. I've got the next question here, Sandeep, from Preet. It says, does University of Canterbury offer cross credits for master's courses completed in India? I know we've talked about it. If you just want to touch on that a little bit.
Listen, it's a tricky one. For masters, depends upon what kind of masters they're going for. If they're going for taught masters, then chances are that they might not get any cross credits for that because it's a fast-paced program. We have our own curriculum. We run it in 10-week block courses. So chances are very less. I haven't seen any. But if it's research-based, then the student might be considered on the research portion of it. uh, so it's something that I can't guarantee, but a student can try.
Yeah, I've got someone here who's onshore, but that I've also got a question for onshore people. This is a question that has been sent to me for to ask you during the session. So, there's a lot of people in New Zealand that either came here to study previously, were on work visas, and they are sort of adversely affected. Some may have done a PG previously, and now they're looking at getting into a master's from within New Zealand. Is there an option for them to pay the master's fee in two installments? Because I understand master's is trimester or semester, I can't remember. But rather than pay the whole year lump sum, these people are within New Zealand borders. If they pay half the year, they only get half the year visa. But that's a lot easier on their pocket than paying for the entire year.
So, Arunima, technically speaking, students who were coming to us in July, we always invoice them for that semester only for 6 months because in New Zealand the curriculum, the academic year is from February to November. So the ones who are coming in July, we would invoice them only for those 6 months. But because of the immigration requirements, the student would have to pay the full fee upfront along with the living costs. Now, for someone who is already on shore uh, um, and does not have those sort of issues, from our side, we would still be only expecting them to pay the tuition fee for those 6 months.
Brilliant,
That's
because from
all.
an immigration perspective, I can absolutely assure you that that's not an issue if you're onshore. We constantly do visas for people for 6 months, and then they save, instead of showing the $15,000, they show the 7,500, and then use the 7,500 for the next 6 months.
So
So
we
it's,
are only, sorry.
yeah, please go
Um,
on.
I said we concerned about a student starting one of the programs that we are offering in July and August, going through it for the first couple of weeks or until the seventh week, being sure if they want to continue with us or not. If they want to, they should pay the fee for that semester for the papers that they're doing, and that's when they will be allowed to continue further or go through the assessment examination. We will assess it and we'll give out the results, and the students will have that credit. I think that's what we will be more concerned about rather than
Yeah,
anything
that's
else at this
brilliant.
point of time.
So I've got this next question from Mahi. Mahi is in New Zealand at the moment. She's probably looking at July intake. So her background is that she says, I've studied hospitality management level 5 for 2 years. Back in India, I studied science in grade 12, and my subjects were physics, chemistry, and biology. Now, if I want to move to a bachelor's of science, but I have not studied maths as per requirements, what is the possible pathway for me? She's got a decent IELTS as well. She's looking at a listening 7.5, speaking 7, reading. So yeah, so I think it's an overall of about 6.5 if I'm not wrong. So what would be, so the question is, she's done 12th science in 12th in India. She's done hospitality in New Zealand, wants to move into the bachelor's of science, but doesn't have the maths. What's the possible pathway? Can she still get into the bachelor's of science, or does she need to do the foundation?
So if she is looking at enrolling in bachelor's, then the only thing we'll consider is what she's done before that in terms of a high school. And depending upon what board she is had studied back in India, we have entry criterias which we will match it with. If she qualifies according to that, then she is more than welcome to join any of our programs. So we
Cool.
don't really go on subjects which you have taken in your high school, but we do offer I would say the basic the level or the foundation level program as a part of the degree, as long as your high school percentage is good enough for you to qualify. So if you're a
Yeah.
CBSE, 75% in overall, if you're a state board, 85%, and IBs, there are other prerequisites which I can forward you, and you can tell the student.
Yeah. Mahi, we will
The
contact you
answer is yes.
individually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
answer is
So
yes,
Mahi,
she can.
we will contact you directly and we will take some of your credentials so we can sort of assist you with all of this. And I think one of the big things that I sort of did not lead in, but now that we know the University of Canterbury offers these amazing programs, there's Masters of Engineering, there's teaching programs, there's really world-class business programs, there's IT, data science, you name it, and they've got it. But one of the things that I did not mention so far, which I absolutely need to, is that University of Canterbury is based in Christchurch. Now, those of you that are, have been in New Zealand would know that I've been telling people to start off. If you're looking for a job out of Auckland, you need to start off out of Auckland. There's no point spending time in Auckland, building a network here, and then expecting to get a skill job outside of Auckland. There are definitely pockets of jobs that you will find more in the Canterbury region than anywhere else. And that's what I'm encouraging people, that if you are looking at studying, possibly explore that and work backwards. Sandeep, what do you want to add to that? Because it is, you are Christchurch based. And so just talk to about that, us about that, please.
Well, I think you've started to sell Christchurch wonderfully over there, and it's all facts. Christchurch is the largest city in the South Island and the second biggest city in New Zealand. As far as UC is concerned, the campus that UC has over here is one of the most modern campuses in New Zealand, with the rebuild and all the new buildings that I showed you when you visited our campus sometime last year. Uh, Apart from that, our connectivity to the city and the businesses, especially Christchurch establishing itself as a business hub, especially for in space of IT and the tech space that's going on. We've got tech present, we've got health present. So a lot of companies are looking at moving their base to Christchurch, and which is creating a lot of job opportunities. I'm sure you know about the economic development body Christchurch NZ, which focuses on promoting industries and commerce and trade in the region. Now they've identified something called as super nodes, which means that industries that are existing in Christchurch, and they want to invite and attract such industries in Christchurch, and the skill shortage that will fall once these industries move to Christchurch. So that's creating a lot of job in
Mhm.
terms of future of the transport, agri-tech, and technology in the space of
Construction,
technology as
engineering,
well.
you name it. Yeah, absolutely. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Rebuild is I still see a lot of activities going on in the city center. So it's full of opportunities, I would say. I don't want to say anything against Auckland, but I just feel like this is the place where the opportunities are much more fluid, and it's evident more than some of the more crowded places in New
absolutely. I
Zealand.
live in Auckland, and so I can absolutely tell you that if you want to get those extra bonus points by getting a skilled employment outside of Auckland, you do need to start outside of Auckland to be able to avail those. We've got only a couple of more minutes. We're not going to be able to get through all the questions, and I literally have so many to ask you. So I will have to do a follow-up session, but I have two really important questions to ask you. One is around these online courses, because I know that a lot of your masters have got internship components. And so, there's an employment opportunity, and the kind of people that we've seen getting attracted to these master's programs are actually working professionals. They are very employable. They just need a step in the door because, they just need that hand holding. So my first question is, does the university help with internships, finding those employments? What's the support in employment or connecting to industry that's provided by the university?
Well, university massively supports that, and university has dedicated people and department who help students to find such opportunities. We've got the industry engagement managers in College of Business and Law, and every college has their own dean international, which kind of helps and deals with these sort of support systems that international students need as when they're studying their program. So they do it in various ways. One of the ways they do it is by organizing career fairs where employers come and students meet them face to face. The other is the colleges and the academics do maintain a good relations with the industry. And when the students pass their theory and come to a stage where they are supposed to do their project and internship, they do connect them with the industry or provide them with a live problem in the industry, and students are engaged in that. So we do these kind of, we've got a careers department and hub as well, which helps with jobs and internships. So we've got like lots of avenues on university wide as well as within the colleges to help students with their internships and even jobs after that.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. Clearly, I can't get through everything, but it's always a nice teaser when you left with a lot of questions because I know that I'll have to bring you back. And the next time we bring you back, I really want to talk about the engineering courses, and we want to talk about, get deeper into those business courses. What's the difference in those courses? We can't clearly cover that today, but for those people that are asking these questions, I am going to come back. Sandeep, do you have any comments before we close the session off? I am going to thank you profusely before we do. But is there anything that you want to leave as your parting comments?
Well, I'd say that we've covered quite a bit in this Facebook Live today, but one of the key parts that I want to touch on or re-emphasize on, that in this is COVID situation or coming out of the COVID situation, the narratives have completely changed in the way we sell ourselves, in the way we market ourselves, in the way we talk about ourselves to the students. And we at UC have done some heavy introspection in the lockdown, and we actually truly believe that we are world's best choice at this point of time, not only because of our location as a country, but within the country, Christchurch is very well poised. Our university is quite well respected, well ranked. It's got all the right accreditations. It's called the research components, industry engagement, and jobs. So it's a perfect story. It's a perfect
Yeah.
destination. You get what programs you want to enroll in and the outcome with jobs. So that's my closing statement, is basically
Thank
we are
you.
world's best choice. So just come here.
Absolutely. And I think, the fact that they're opening this, interaction, and for those people that are stuck sitting at home, can't work because of the lockdown, and you really don't want that dent in your careers, this online starting mode is actually a perfect opportunity. And I'll be more than happy to answer individual questions around immigration. But absolutely consider this for those of you that are starting. Thank you very much, Cindy, for doing this session with us. Like I said, I will reach out for another date because we will have to do a follow-up session. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, guys, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll join you soon.